The 10 alchemical shifts to dissolve money, guilt and embody abundance. The sacred paradox of spiritual wealth. Do you feel it? That quiet internal tug of war. On one side, there is a deep soul-level knowing that you are here for more, that you deserve a life of freedom, of ease, of abundance, a life where you can provide for your loved ones, contribute to the world in meaningful ways, and experience the beauty this existence has to offer without constant financial pressure. And on the other side, there is the guilt, a subtle, creeping shame that whispers that wanting money is greedy, that it's unspiritual, that to be a good, conscious person, you must be detached from material wealth, perhaps even embrace a life of lack. This conflict, this sacred paradox, is the single greatest barrier blocking countless spiritually aware individuals from the prosperity they so deeply deserve. And it is the invisible chain we are here to break today. If you have found your way here, it is no accident. It means you are ready to move beyond the simplistic, often contradictory advice you've heard about wealth and spirituality. You are ready for a deeper understanding, a transformation, an alchemy of the soul. For years, I've worked with clients who were doing everything right. They meditated, they affirmed, they visualized a life of abundance. And yet, their bank accounts remained stagnant, their debt remained, and a cloud of anxiety followed every financial decision. The problem wasn't their desire, and it wasn't their spiritual practice. It was the unresolved war raging within them, the belief that they had to choose between being wealthy and being worthy. This journey we are about to embark on is designed to end that war. Over the next few hours, we will not be learning hacks or secrets. We will be undertaking a profound process of inner alchemy. We will move through 10 distinct shifts in consciousness, 10 transformations that will take you from a state of guilt and conflict to one of clarity, worthiness, and alignment. You will learn to see money not as a corrupting force to be feared, but as a neutral spiritual energy to be stewarded. You will unearth the ancient inherited beliefs that have been silently dictating your financial reality. And you will be given the tools, the real, practical, alchemical rituals to rewrite those beliefs and create a new reality, one where abundance flows to you as a natural expression of your spiritual growth and your contribution to the world. So find a quiet space. Allow your mind to settle. This is not passive listening. It is active transformation. Prepare to dissolve the lead of financial guilt and uncover the pure gold of your inherent worth. The great work begins now. Music swells slightly and then fades to a very low, ambient background level. Chapter 1. Unearthing the roots of money guilt. To begin our alchemical process, we must first become archaeologists of the self. We must be willing to dig into the soil of our own consciousness, to gently brush away the layers of dust and debris that cover the foundations of our belief systems. Because the guilt you feel about money, it did not originate with you. It is an artifact, a relic inherited from a world that taught us to be suspicious of wealth, especially when paired with a spiritual heart. Let's be clear, this feeling is not a personal failing. If you feel a pang of shame when you desire a luxury, or a knot of anxiety when you think of having too much money, you're not broken. You are, in fact, perfectly conditioned. You are the product of centuries of cultural, religious and familial programming that has, for the most part, successfully painted wealth as the enemy of virtue. Consider the narratives we are all steeped in from birth. The fairy tales where the greedy king is always the villain and the poor, humble woodcutter is the hero. The religious parables that speak of camels passing through the eyes of needles. The social conditioning that celebrates the starving artist as more authentic than the one who has achieved commercial success. The constant media messaging that often portrays the wealthy as corrupt, soulless, and miserable. These stories are not just entertainment. They are programming. They are the software that was installed in your subconscious mind long before you had the conscious awareness to question it. And this software runs on a simple binary code. Poor equals pure. Wealthy equals corrupt. And so, when your soul cries out for expansion, for freedom, for abundance, this ancient software boots up. It runs its program and flashes a warning signal. That warning signal is guilt. It's a fail-safe designed to keep you within the safe confines of your conditioning. It's your subconscious mind trying to protect you from becoming the villain in your own story. I remember a conversation with a client, a wonderfully talented healer who was struggling to charge for her services. She told me, "Elias, it feels wrong. Healing is a gift from God. How can I put a price tag on it?" Her conflict was palpable. On the surface, her logic seemed noble. But as we dug deeper, we found the true root. Her grandmother, a woman she adored, had always said, "Good people don't talk about money. They just do good work." This simple phrase, repeated with love over decades, had become a sacred law in her subconscious mind. To charge for her gift felt like a betrayal of her grandmother, a betrayal of her lineage, a betrayal of the very definition of a good person she had internalized. Her problem wasn't a lack of business sense. It was a crisis of identity. So the first alchemical shift is one of awareness. It is the courage to look at your own conditioning with compassionate detachment. To ask yourself, where did I learn this? Whose voice is it really that whispers these words of lack and limitation? Let's perform a small thought experiment together. Imagine a 5-year-old version of yourself. See that child clearly in your mind. Now imagine walking up to that child and saying, "You do not deserve to have all your needs met. You do not deserve to feel safe and secure. Wanting more than the bare minimum is a sign of a bad character. The thought is abhorrent, isn't it? You would never say that to a child. And yet, this is the very message that the guilt program is running in your adult mind day after day. The stories we inherited served a purpose for the people who created them. In times of immense poverty and social inequality, believing that lack was noble was a survival mechanism. It was a way to find peace and dignity in circumstances that were otherwise unbearable. It was a way to create social cohesion. But you must ask yourself, does that story serve you now? Does it serve the world you wish to create? A world where conscious, heart-centered people are empowered with resources to enact positive change? Or does it keep you small, struggling, and unable to fully express your gifts? The guilt is not a reflection of your character. It's a reflection of your history. It is an echo from the past. And the work of the alchemist is to honor the lessons of the past without being imprisoned by them. It is to recognize that an echo is not a command. It is merely a sound fading in the distance. As we move forward, I want you to hold this idea close. The guilt is not yours. You are simply its custodian. You have carried it perhaps for your parents, for your ancestors, for your culture. But your journey now is to learn how to respectfully set it down, to thank it for the protection it thought it was offering, and to lovingly inform it that its services are no longer required. This is the foundational step. You cannot heal a wound you refuse to see. You cannot release a belief you don't realize you're holding. So the invitation in this first chapter is simple but profound. Become the archaeologist. Observe the artifacts of your mind without judgment. Notice the patterns, hear the echoes of old voices, and for the first time perhaps recognize that these relics do not define the temple you are now choosing to build. Your worth is not determined by these inherited stories. It is inherent. It is unshakable. And from this place of knowing, we can begin the true work of transformation. This is the first crucial shift from unconscious inheritance to conscious awareness. Chapter 2. The Energetic Anatomy of a Financial Block. Now that we have unearthed the historical roots of our money guilt, we must shift our perspective from the psychological to the energetic. To the alchemist, the universe is not just a collection of matter, it is a symphony of frequencies. Everything, from the chair you are sitting on to the thoughts you are thinking, is a vibration. And the foundational principle of this vibrational universe is simple, like attracts like. This is the essence of what many call the law of attraction. It is not magic. It is physics, resonance. Your financial reality is a perfect, unflinching mirror of your dominant energetic state. It is not a reflection of what you want. It is a reflection of what you are. This is where the inner conflict of the spiritual seeker becomes so potent and so painful. You may spend your mornings meditating on abundance, visualizing wealth, and repeating affirmations of prosperity. You are consciously broadcasting a signal of, "I want more." But then you go about your day. You see a beautiful item in a store, and your immediate subconscious reaction is a jolt of anxiety and the thought, "I can't afford that." That is an energetic broadcast of lack. You receive an unexpected bill, and your stomach clenches with fear. That is an energetic broadcast of scarcity. You see someone else's success and feel a pang of envy mixed with the thought, "Why them and not me?" That is an energetic broadcast of unworthiness, and the guilt, the spiritual money guilt we are exploring, is the most powerful and insidious broadcast of all. Guilt is an energy of contraction. It is a frequency that says, "I am wrong. I'm undeserving. I must be punished." When you feel guilty for desiring wealth, you are broadcasting a deeply conflicted, chaotic signal to the universe. It's like trying to tune a radio to two different stations at once. All you get is static. You are sending out the vibration of, "I want abundance" with your conscious mind, while your much more powerful subconscious mind is screaming, "But I don't deserve it. It's wrong to have it." Which signal do you think the universe responds to? It always, without fail, responds to the dominant vibration, the one that is rooted in your deepest, most emotionally charged beliefs. A half-hearted wish for wealth cannot compete with a deeply embodied feeling of unworthiness. This is what a money block truly is. It is not an external force working against you. It is not bad luck or a poor economy. A money block is a point of energetic dissonance within your own being. It is a place where your desire and your belief are in direct opposition. It is an internal civil war, and the collateral damage is your financial well-being. Let me tell you about a man I once knew. Let's call him David. David was a brilliant architect, an artist in his field. He wanted to start his own firm, to create sustainable, beautiful buildings that would change the landscape of his city. His conscious desire was pure and powerful. But he grew up in a family where his father, a factory worker, constantly railed against the greedy, rich bosses. Every night at the dinner table, David absorbed the energy of resentment. He learned on a cellular level that to be wealthy was to be an oppressor. So what happened? Every time David got close to landing a major contract that would allow him to launch his firm, something would go wrong. A key investor would pull out at the last second. A crucial permit would be inexplicably denied. He would make a simple, uncharacteristic error in a proposal. He called it a string of bad luck, but it wasn't luck. It was his subconscious mind, loyal to his father's worldview, protecting him from becoming the very thing he was taught to despise. His energetic broadcast of "I am not a greedy boss" was infinitely more powerful than his broadcast of "I want to be a successful architect." His money block was a shield of self-sabotage, designed to keep his identity intact. To dissolve a money block, you cannot just attack it with more positive thinking. That's like painting over rust. It might look better for a little while, but the corrosion is still happening underneath. The alchemical approach is to transmute the energy at its source. This requires you to become a student of your own feelings. Your emotions are your energetic feedback system. They are the compass that tells you what frequency you are currently broadcasting. When you think about money, what is the immediate visceral feeling that arises in your body? Is it expansion, excitement, and possibility? Or is it contraction, tightness in the chest, and knot in your stomach? Be honest with yourself, brutally honest. If the feeling is contraction, that is the location of the block. That feeling, be it fear, guilt, shame, or anxiety, is the specific frequency that is repelling the abundance you desire. It is the energetic signature of the limiting belief. The second alchemical shift, then, is to move from blaming external circumstances to taking radical responsibility for your own energetic broadcast. This is not about blaming yourself. Blame is just another low-frequency vibration. This is about empowerment. It is the realization that if your inner state is creating your outer reality, then you hold the power to change everything. Simply by changing your inner state, you must stop seeing your financial life as something that happens to you and start seeing it as something that emanates from you. This shift is monumental. It moves you from the role of victim to the role of creator. It takes the power away from the economy, your boss, your clients, or your family, and places it squarely back where it has always belonged, within you. Your financial situation is a diagnostic tool. It is giving you perfect feedback on the state of your inner world. If you don't like the diagnosis, don't curse the tool. Use it. Use it to pinpoint the exact locations of energetic dissonance within you that are crying out for healing. Every bill you can't pay, every opportunity that falls through is not a punishment. It is a message. It is your soul guiding you, saying, "Look here, heal this." There is a belief here that is out of alignment with the truth of who you are. This is the work, the real work, not just chasing money, but healing the parts of you that believe you are not worthy of it. Because when you change the broadcast, the reality you receive must change. It is universal law. It is the physics of abundance. Chapter 3. The Alchemical Refrain. Guilt as a Sacred Messenger. We arrive now at the heart of the alchemical process. Thus far, we have treated guilt as the problem, the enemy, the block to be overcome. But what if this is a profound misunderstanding of its purpose? What if guilt is not a barrier, but a bridge? What if it's not a punishment but a pointer? The third, and perhaps most powerful alchemical shift, is to reframe your guilt as a sacred messenger. It is to stop resisting it, fighting it, or shaming yourself for feeling it, and instead to turn toward it with curiosity and ask, what are you here to teach me? In classic alchemy, the first stage of transformation is calcinatio, the breaking down of a substance by fire. It is an intense, often painful process of purification. Your guilt is this fire. Its purpose is not to destroy you, but to burn away that which is not true within you. It is a heat that highlights the impurities, the inherited beliefs and false identities that cannot withstand the light of conscious awareness. When you feel that familiar pang of guilt for wanting more, your conditioned response is likely to do one of two things. You either collapse into the guilt, believing its story, that you are greedy and undeserving, thus shutting down your desire, or you try to suppress it, to power through it with affirmations, telling yourself, I am abundant, while the feeling of shame churns in your gut. Both approaches are forms of resistance. Both only serve to strengthen the energy you are trying to escape. As the great psychologist Carl Jung said, what you resist persists. The alchemical path is the third way, the way of integration. Imagine the guilt is a child knocking at your door, crying. If you agree with the child that it is bad and wrong, you have only reinforced its pain. If you slam the door in its face and pretend you can't hear it, the child will only knock louder, more desperately. The only way to heal the child is to open the door, invite it in, sit with it and listen to its story with compassion. So, let's do that now. Let's invite the guilt in. When it appears, instead of flinching away, I want you to pause, take a breath, and mentally, or even out loud, say, welcome. I see you. I'm willing to listen. Then ask it a series of gentle, loving questions. Dear guilt, what are you trying to protect me from? Perhaps the answer that arises is, I'm protecting you from being rejected by your family. Or, I'm protecting you from becoming a person you despise. Or, I'm protecting you from the pain of failure. The messenger is never trying to harm you. It is always operating from a misguided sense of love and protection based on old, outdated programming. Then you ask the next question. What belief are you holding that makes you feel this protection is necessary? Listen for the answer. It will be the core limiting belief itself. You might hear, I believe that rich people are lonely, or I believe that if I have a lot of money, people will only want me for what I have. Or the classic, I believe money is the root of all evil. There it is, the impurity. The false belief has been brought into the light. Now you can engage with it. You can say, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for working so hard to protect me based on that belief. But is that belief absolutely 100% true? Is it true that all rich people are lonely? Is it true that Mother Teresa, who handled millions of dollars in donations, was evil? Is it true that you cannot be both spiritually awake and financially abundant? Of course not. In the light of conscious inquiry, the belief begins to crumble. It cannot hold its power when it is no longer operating in the shadows of your subconscious. This process transforms your relationship with your own inner world. Guilt ceases to be a tormentor and becomes a trusted advisor. It becomes a diagnostic tool that tells you exactly where your next piece of healing work lies. Every time you feel it, it's an opportunity. It's an invitation to go deeper, to peel back another layer of conditioning and align more closely with your truth. I once worked with an artist who was paralyzed by this guilt. He felt his art was a pure spiritual expression, and the idea of marketing it and selling it for a high price made him feel physically ill. When we did this work, he invited his guilt in. He asked it what it was protecting him from. The answer was startling. "I'm protecting you from losing your soul." The core belief? To make money from art, you have to sell out. You have to compromise your vision. This was the starving artist mythology in its purest form. By seeing this belief clearly, he was able to challenge it. He started researching other successful artists he admired. He saw that they hadn't compromised. In fact, their financial success had given them more freedom to create their most authentic, uncompromising work. His reality began to shift. The guilt didn't vanish overnight, but each time it arose, he greeted it as a friend. "Ah, there you are again," he would say. "Thank you for reminding me to stay true to my vision. I will. And I will also allow myself to be compensated for it." He turned the messenger of lack into a gatekeeper of his own integrity. This is alchemy. It is turning lead into gold. It is taking the base, painful emotion of guilt and transmuting it into the refined, powerful energy of self-awareness and conscious choice. So your practice, your work, from this moment on is to stop running from the fire. When you feel the heat of guilt, walk toward it. Know that it is a sacred fire, there to help you burn away the false, so that only the truth of your worthiness remains. This is the shift from resistance to reception, and it changes everything. Chapter 4. The Forgiveness Ledger, a Ritual to Release. Financial shame awareness is the first step. Understanding is the second. But for true transformation to occur, we must move from the realm of the mind into the realm of embodiment and ritual. The subconscious mind does not speak the language of logic. It speaks the language of symbol, feeling, and ceremony. To release the deep-seated energy of shame and guilt, we must perform an act that signals to our deepest self that we are truly ready to let it go. This brings us to our fourth alchemical shift, the practice of radical forgiveness. We will perform a powerful ritual I call the Forgiveness Ledger. Shame and guilt are heavy energies. They are debts we believe we owe. Perhaps you feel you owe a debt to your family for wanting to surpass them. Perhaps you feel you owe a debt to society for past financial mistakes. Or perhaps you carry a vague, undefined sense of being indebted to a cosmic force for simply wanting more than you have. This ritual is designed to ceremonially and energetically clear those perceived debts. You will need a few simple things: a piece of paper, a pen, and a safe place where you can burn the paper afterward, a fireplace, a fireproof bowl, or even just a sink with running water. Find a time when you will not be disturbed. Light a candle if you wish. Create a space that feels sacred to you. This is not a casual exercise. You are performing a sacred act of liberation for your soul. At the top of the paper, I want you to write the title, The Forgiveness Ledger. Now, take a few deep breaths. Close your eyes and connect with that familiar feeling of money guilt or shame. Don't just think about it. Allow yourself to truly feel it in your body. Where does it live? In your chest, your stomach, your throat? Acknowledge its presence. Then open your eyes and begin to write. We will create 3 sections in this ledger. The first section is titled, I Forgive Others For. Here, you will release the resentment you hold toward anyone who taught you limiting beliefs about money. This is not about condoning harmful behavior. It is about releasing the energetic cord that ties you to that past pain. Holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It only harms you. Write it all down. I forgive my father for telling me that money doesn't grow on trees and for making me feel that my desires were a burden. I forgive my second-grade teacher who shamed me in front of the class for having worn-out shoes, teaching me that lack was a source of humiliation. I forgive my religious leaders for teaching me that poverty was holy and wanting wealth was a sin. Be specific. Be honest. Do not censor yourself. Fill the page with every memory, every person, every message that comes to mind. Feel the weight of these old stories as you write them. Acknowledge the pain they caused. And with each sentence, you are making a conscious choice to stop carrying it. You are taking your power back. When you feel this first section is complete, take another deep breath. Now, write the title for the second section. I Forgive Myself For. This is often the most difficult and most potent part of the ritual. Here, you will extend grace to yourself for all the ways you have held yourself back, for all the financial mistakes you have made while operating under the influence of your old programming. I forgive myself for believing I was unworthy of wealth. I forgive myself for all the years I undercharged for my work because I was afraid of being seen as greedy. I forgive myself for the credit card debt I accrued while trying to fill a feeling of emptiness inside me. I forgive myself for judging wealthy people because that judgment was a reflection of my own fear and lack. Again, be ruthless in your honesty and gentle in your compassion. You did the best you could with the knowledge and the programming you had at the time. You were operating from a place of perceived protection. Holding on to self-judgment is like tying an anchor to your own feet and then trying to swim. It's time to cut the rope. Write until there is nothing left to confess. When you are done, take another deep, releasing breath. Finally, we come to the third section. Its title is, I Forgive Money For. This may seem strange, but it is crucial. So many of us have unconsciously personified money as a malicious entity, a monster that corrupts, a trickster that eludes us, a cruel master that we must serve. We have projected all of our fear, guilt, and anger onto this neutral energy, and in doing so, we have created a deeply antagonistic relationship with it. It's time to make peace. I forgive money for not being there when my family needed it most. I forgive money for being a source of conflict and pain in my childhood home. I forgive money for making me feel powerless and afraid. I forgive money for the hold I allowed it to have over my sense of self-worth. By doing this, you are stripping money of the negative power you have given it. You are reclaiming your sovereignty. You are recognizing that money is simply a tool, an amplifier. It is a form of energy that is neutral. It is the consciousness of the person holding it that determines whether it is used for good or for ill. You are preparing yourself to have a new, clean, and healthy relationship with this energy. When all 3 sections are complete, read the entire ledger out loud. Read it with feeling. Let the words resonate in your voice, in your body, in the room around you. This is your declaration of freedom. And now for the final act of alchemy. Take the paper and with immense intention, set it on fire. As you watch the flames consume the paper, I want you to visualize all the heavy, dense energy of guilt, shame, and resentment turning into smoke and light. Watch the words, the old stories, the painful memories, the limiting beliefs, curl into ash and dissolve into nothingness. You can say, I release these stories. I release these debts. I'm clear. I'm free. I am worthy. And so it is. If you cannot use fire, you can tear the paper into the smallest possible pieces and flush it away, or let the pieces be carried away by a river or the wind. The symbolic act of release is what matters. After the ritual is complete, sit in silence for a few moments. Notice how you feel. You may feel lighter. You may feel emotional. You may feel a deep sense of peace. Allow whatever feelings arise to be present without judgment. This ritual is not a one-time fix. It is a practice. You may need to perform it again as new layers of guilt and shame surface. But each time you do, you are clearing more of the energetic debris. You are cleaning your inner house, making it a welcoming and hospitable place for abundance to reside. This is the shift from carrying debt to claiming liberation. You are closing the old ledger and opening a new, clean page. Chapter 5. The Mirror of Worth. Rebuilding your financial self-image. Having cleared the debts of the past with the forgiveness ledger, we have created a vacuum, an open space within our consciousness. But nature and the subconscious mind abhors a vacuum. If we do not consciously choose what to plant in this newly tilled soil, the old weeds of unworthiness will inevitably grow back. This brings us to the 5th alchemical shift, a constructive and deeply empowering process, rebuilding your financial self-image. We will do this through a practice I call the Mirror of Worth. Your self-image is the master program of your subconscious mind. It's the set of beliefs, assumptions, and feelings you hold about who you are. And you can never, ever outperform your self-image. If you have a subconscious self-image of someone who is always struggling, you will unconsciously create situations that validate that identity. If you see yourself as someone who isn't good with money, you will find ways to mismanage it. Your external reality is a direct reflection of this internal blueprint. The guilt we have been exploring is a symptom of a damaged financial self-image. The guilt is the alarm that goes off whenever you try to act in a way that is inconsistent with your blueprint of I am not worthy of wealth. To create lasting change, we must upgrade the blueprint itself. The Mirror of Worth is a practice of confronting your own reflection and consciously speaking a new truth into existence until your subconscious mind accepts it as reality. It may feel uncomfortable or artificial at first. That's a sign that it's working. You are creating a new neural pathway. You are challenging a lifetime of conditioning. Here is the practice. Each morning, before the world has had a chance to impose its definitions upon you, go to a mirror. Stand close enough to look yourself directly in the eyes. Not at your hair, not at your skin, but into your own eyes. This is the gateway to your soul. Take 3 deep, centering breaths. Let your shoulders relax. Let the mask you wear for the world fall away. Just be present with the person in the reflection. Now you will speak a series of declarations. These are not hopeful wishes. They are statements of fact from the reality you are choosing to create. It is crucial that you say them out loud. The vibration of your own voice is a powerful tool for reprogramming. You will speak in 3 categories, just as we did with the ledger, but this time we are building, not releasing. The first category is inherent worthiness. This addresses the foundational belief that your worth is not tied to your productivity, your bank balance, or anything external. It simply is. Look yourself in the eye and say, with as much conviction as you can muster, I am inherently worthy of all good things, including wealth. My worth is not negotiable. It was sealed at my birth. I am a divine creation, and it is my birthright to experience abundance. I release the need to earn my worthiness. I simply accept it. Feel the words. If your mind rebels, if a voice inside scoffs and says, that's not true, just notice it. That is the old program trying to maintain control. Acknowledge it, and then gently return your focus to your own eyes in the mirror and repeat the statement. I remember when I first started this practice, it felt like a lie. My voice wavered. It took weeks before I could say the words without an inner cringe. That resistance is the friction of transformation. Keep going. The second category is permission and reception. This directly counteracts the guilt program that says it's wrong to want or to have. You are giving yourself explicit permission to desire and to receive. Look yourself in the eye and declare, I give myself permission to desire wealth without shame or apology. I am open and ready to receive abundance from expected and unexpected sources. It is safe for me to be both spiritual and wealthy. My capacity to receive is limitless. This is a radical act for someone conditioned in lack. You are rewiring your nervous system to associate desire not with guilt, but with permission. You are teaching your body that it is safe to receive good things. The third category is identity statement. This is where we install the new blueprint. You will speak about yourself in the present tense, as if your desired reality is already here. Look yourself in the eye and state your new identity. I am a conscious, powerful, and masterful creator of my financial reality. I am someone who manages money with wisdom, integrity, and ease. I am a magnet for soul-aligned opportunities and prosperous ideas. I am the kind of person who is financially free and generous. Choose statements that resonate with you. Write your own. The key is to speak them as your current identity. I am, not I will be. The subconscious mind only understands the present moment. Do this practice every single day for at least 30 days. It may take only 5 minutes, but it will be the most important 5 minutes of your day. You are bypassing the critical faculty of your conscious mind and speaking directly to the architect of your reality, your subconscious. You are looking the gatekeeper of your old identity in the eye and giving it new instructions. Why the mirror? Because it creates an undeniable feedback loop. You cannot hide from yourself. You see your own hesitation. You see the moments when you break eye contact. And you will see the moment, the glorious moment when you say, I am worthy of wealth, and you see a flicker of belief in your own eyes. That is the moment the alchemy happens. That is the seed of the new reality taking root. This practice is about becoming the person who is an energetic match for the life you desire. Abundance is not something you chase. It is something you allow. And you can only allow it to the level that you feel you deserve it. The mirror of worth is your tool for expanding that sense of deservingness. day by day, reflection by reflection, until it becomes your unshakable truth. You know, if this chapter in particular is resonating with you, this idea of rebuilding your self-image, chances are there is someone in your life who needs to hear this exact message today. Someone who is struggling with their own reflection. If a face comes to mind, consider sharing this journey with them. Sometimes the greatest act of abundance is sharing the wisdom that helps us all rise together. Now let's continue our work. Chapter 6. The Rhythm of Abundance. Daily Rituals for Inner Alignment. The Great Alchemical Transformations. The turning of lead into gold did not happen in a single explosive flash. They were the result of a patient, dedicated process. A daily stoking of the fires, a precise mixing of elements, a constant and unwavering attention to the great work. So it is with the alchemy of consciousness. The powerful shifts we have made, the forgiveness ledger, the mirror of worth, are like the powerful turning of a great ship. But it is the small daily actions of the rudder that keep it on its new course. This brings us to our 6th alchemical shift, establishing a rhythm of abundance. It is the practice of weaving small, conscious rituals into the fabric of your daily life. Rituals designed to keep your energetic frequency tuned to the vibration of prosperity and worthiness. This is how we make our new state of being a habit rather than a fleeting inspiration. A ritual is not just a routine. A routine is something you do mechanically. A ritual is an action performed with intention, awareness, and reverence. It is a way of infusing the mundane with the sacred. It is how you tell the universe and your own subconscious mind what you are truly devoted to. I will offer you 3 simple yet profound daily rituals. I encourage you to adopt them as your own or use them as inspiration to create rituals that feel authentic to you. The key is consistency. The first ritual, the morning gratitude. Scan before your feet touch the floor in the morning. Before you check your phone, before the anxieties and to-do lists of the day rush in, I want you to lie still for just 60 seconds. And in that minute, I want you to perform a gratitude scan, specifically focused on the abundance already present in your life. Gratitude is the ultimate abundance frequency. You cannot be in a state of genuine gratitude and a state of lack at the same time. They are mutually exclusive vibrations. Start with your body. I'm grateful for my lungs that breathe for me, an act of generosity I do not have to manage. I'm grateful for my heart that beats, a loyal drum of life. Then expand to your immediate environment. I am grateful for this bed that supports me, for the roof over my head that protects me. I'm grateful for the clean water that will soon flow from my tap. Do not take these things for granted. To millions on this planet, these are unimaginable luxuries. By consciously acknowledging them, you are starting your day by broadcasting a powerful signal of, I already have so much. I'm so well taken care of. This simple act short-circuits the scarcity mindset before it can even begin its daily monologue. You are starting the day from a place of fullness, not emptiness. From a foundation of enough, not enough. It is a small shift, but it sets the energetic trajectory for your entire day. The second ritual. The conscious transaction. Our relationship with money is expressed in dozens of small transactions every day. Most of these we perform on autopilot. We swipe a card, we click a button, we hand over cash without a second thought. often with a subtle undercurrent of anxiety about the money leaving our account. This ritual is about transforming every transaction, whether you are spending or receiving, into a mindful moment of abundance. When you are about to spend money, whether it's on groceries, a bill, or a coffee, I want you to pause for a single second. Hold the card, the cash, or your phone in your hand, and silently in your mind say thank you. You say thank you to this money for serving me. I release you with joy and gratitude, knowing that you are going out into the world to support businesses, pay employees, and circulate in the great flow of life. And I know that you will return to me multiplied. You are shifting the energy of spending from one of loss and contraction to one of circulation and contribution. You are blessing the money as it leaves, which energetically opens the door for it to return. This eliminates the pain of paying and replaces it with the joy of participating in the flow of commerce. Conversely, when you receive money, a paycheck, a payment from a client, even finding a coin on the street, pause again. Before you deposit it or put it in your wallet, take a moment to acknowledge it. Silently say, "Welcome. I receive you with joy and gratitude. Thank you for choosing me as a channel for your flow. I will be a wise and conscious steward of this energy." You are acknowledging the influx. You are treating the money with respect. This creates a welcoming energy. It tells the universe that you are a responsible and grateful receiver, someone who can be trusted with more. The third ritual, the evening evidence review. Just as we began the day with gratitude, we will end it with confirmation. The subconscious mind learns through repetition and evidence. This ritual is about training your mind to actively look for proof of your growing prosperity. What you focus on expands. Before you go to sleep, take out a journal or a notebook. At the top of the page, write today's date and the title, Evidence of Abundance. Then, your task is to list at least 3 pieces of evidence from your day that support your new identity as an abundant being. This evidence does not have to be $1 million check. The alchemist sees the gold in the mundane. Perhaps it was a friend buying you a coffee. Evidence of receiving unexpected gifts. Perhaps you found a perfect parking spot right at the front. Evidence that the universe conspires to support you. Perhaps you had a creative idea that could lead to a new income stream. Evidence of your connection to the infinite source of prosperous ideas. Perhaps you resisted an impulse purchase, choosing conscious stewardship instead. Evidence of your growing mastery over money. By consciously cataloging this evidence, you are doing something profound. You are training your reticular activating system, the part of your brain that filters reality to search for proof of abundance. You are literally rewiring your brain to see the prosperity that is already all around you, but which you were previously filtering out through the lens of scarcity. When you close your eyes to sleep, the last thoughts in your mind will be of fullness, support, and growth. This primes your subconscious to continue the work of alignment as you rest. These 3 rituals, the morning gratitude scan, the conscious transaction, and the evening evidence review, form a powerful daily rhythm. They are the rudder. They keep your ship pointed toward the shores of prosperity, even when the old storms of guilt and doubt roll in. This is the shift from sporadic effort to consistent practice. It is how you stop visiting the state of abundance and start living there. Chapter 7. Inspired Action versus Anxious Hustle. There is a dangerous misconception in the world of manifestation, a seductive idea that if we simply think positive thoughts and align our energy, wealth will magically fall from the sky into our laps. This passive approach is a deep misunderstanding of the creative process. Energy must be transmuted into form, and the bridge between the energetic and the material is action. But not just any action. This is where many spiritual seekers get lost. They hear the call to act, and they revert to the old paradigm of struggle, force, and relentless effort, the paradigm of hustle. The seventh alchemical shift is one of the most subtle and life-changing of all. It is learning to distinguish between divinely inspired action and fear-based, anxious hustle. They may look identical from the outside, but their internal energy, their point of origin, and their ultimate results are worlds apart. Anxious hustle is born from a belief in lack. It is action taken from a place of fear, the fear that if you don't force things to happen, nothing will. It feels heavy, frantic, and draining. It's the energy of chasing. When you're in hustle mode, you're constantly pushing, striving, and worrying. You work long hours not from a place of passion, but from a fear of falling behind. You send that fifth follow-up email not from a place of genuine connection, but from a desperate need to close the deal. You say yes to every opportunity, even those that drain your soul, because you're afraid to miss out. Hustle energy broadcasts a powerful subconscious signal to the universe. I don't trust the flow. I believe I am separate from abundance, and I must struggle to get my share. And so, the universe, reflecting this belief, presents you with more and more reasons to struggle. You may even achieve some success through sheer force of will, but it will feel precarious, exhausting, and unsustainable. It's the kind of success that leads to burnout because it is not aligned with your soul. Inspired action, on the other hand, is born from a belief in abundance. It is action taken from a place of trust, alignment, and inner knowing. It feels light, joyful, and energizing, even when it's challenging. It is the energy of allowing and co-creating. Inspired action doesn't feel like a should or a have to. It feels like a get to. It is the natural, spontaneous next step that arises after you have done your inner work of alignment. It's the sudden urge to call a specific person, which leads to a perfect collaboration. It's the creative idea that downloads into your mind while you're on a walk in nature. It's the feeling of being in the zone, where work doesn't feel like work and time seems to disappear. It is the universe working through you, not you working against the universe. So how do we cultivate this? How do we know the difference? The answer lies in the body. Your body is your infallible guide. Before you take a significant action, launching a project, making an investment, accepting a job, pause and check in with your physical and emotional state. Does the thought of this action create a feeling of expansion in your chest? A sense of excitement, even if it's mixed with a little nervousness? A feeling of rightness, of flow? That is the signature of inspired action. Or does it create a feeling of contraction? A knot in your stomach? A tightness in your shoulders? A sense of dread, pressure, or desperation? That is the signature of anxious hustle. I once advised a client who was on the verge of taking out a massive loan to expand her business. On paper, it made sense. Her consultants were urging her to do it, but she felt sick to her stomach every time she looked at the paperwork. "My mind is screaming yes," she told me, "but my body is screaming no." That feeling of sickness was the red flag of hustle energy. Her action was being driven by the fear of being left behind, the fear of not growing fast enough. I encouraged her to wait, to return to her inner alignment practices. 2 weeks later, sitting in meditation, she had a sudden, brilliant idea for a smaller, more focused product offering that required almost no capital investment. The idea felt expansive, exciting, and light. She pursued it, and it became the most profitable venture of her career. She took action, yes, but it was action born from a place of inspired clarity, not anxious pressure. The work, then, is to become a master of the pause, to create space between the impulse to act and the action itself. In that space, you can check your internal guidance system. You learn to honor the signals of your body over the frantic demands of your ego or the pressures of the outside world. This requires courage. It requires the courage to say no to things that look good on paper but feel wrong in your soul. It requires the courage to rest, to be still, and to wait for the true inspiration to arise, even when the world is screaming at you to do more. It is a profound act of trust. A trust that when you are aligned, the right actions will be revealed to you at the right time. You no longer have to force open doors. You simply have to align your energy and then walk through the ones that open effortlessly before you. This doesn't mean you will be passive. Far from it. When inspiration strikes, it often demands swift, focused, and powerful action. But it will be action that energizes you rather than depletes you. It will feel like you are a surfer riding a powerful wave rather than a rower battling against the current. This is the shift from striving to aligning. It is the end of the war against your own life. It is the discovery that the universe is not a withholding parent you must please, but a willing and powerful partner in your creation. Align first, then act. This is the way of the alchemist. Chapter 8. The Quantum Field of Finance. Aligning with abundance frequency, we are now ready to venture into the deeper mysteries of creation, into the realm where spirituality and science converge. This is where we move beyond simply managing our mindset and begin to consciously work with the very fabric of reality. The 8th alchemical shift is to understand and apply the principles of quantum physics to your financial life. It is to stop seeing yourself as a solid being moving through a fixed world, and to start seeing yourself as a field of consciousness interacting with a field of infinite potential. At the quantum level, everything in the universe is both a particle, matter, and a wave, energy. A particle is a specific, fixed thing. A wave is a field of probability, of potential. And the thing that collapses the wave of potential into the particle of experience is the act of observation. Your focused attention, charged with your belief and emotion, is the creative force that tells the universe which possibility to make real. There is a vast, invisible field of energy that connects everything. The quantum field. This field contains the potential for every possible reality. There is a reality where you are struggling with debt. There is a reality where you are a comfortable millionaire. There is a reality where you are a global philanthropist. All of these possibilities exist right now as energetic waves in the quantum field. You are not creating wealth from scratch. You are selecting a reality where it already exists. How do you select it? You tune your personal energy field, your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs to match the frequency of the reality you wish to experience. This is the ultimate secret of manifestation. It's not about asking, begging, or hoping. It's about becoming an energetic match. Think of it like a radio. The radio waves for every station are filling the room you're in right now. Classical, rock, jazz, talk radio. They all coexist as frequencies. You don't have to create the music. You simply have to tune your receiver to the specific frequency of the station you want to hear. Your body-mind system is your receiver. Your dominant emotional state is the frequency you are tuned to. If your dominant emotional state is guilt, fear, and scarcity, you are tuned to the frequency of lack. And your receiver, your life, can only pick up experiences that match that frequency. Unexpected bills, missed opportunities, financial struggle. If you can learn to shift your dominant emotional state to one of gratitude, worthiness, and trust, the frequency of abundance, then your receiver must begin to pick up experiences that match that frequency. Unexpected checks, soul-aligned clients, synchronicities that lead to profit. The question then becomes, how do we consciously tune ourselves to the frequency of abundance, even when our current reality seems to be broadcasting the opposite? This is done through a process of acting as if on an energetic level. You must learn to generate the feeling of your desired reality before it has manifested. This is the work. You don't feel grateful when you get the money. You feel grateful now, and that feeling is the magnetic force that draws the money to you. Let's make this practical. I will give you a powerful daily meditation to tune your frequency. Find a quiet place to sit. Close your eyes. Begin by taking several deep breaths, letting go of the day's tensions. Now, instead of visualizing what you want, I want you to connect with the feeling of having what you want. I want you to ask yourself, what is the emotional state I believe financial freedom will give me? Is it peace? Is it security? Is it freedom? Is it joy? Is it generosity? Choose one of these core emotions. Let's say you choose peace. Now your only job for the next 10 minutes is to generate the feeling of peace in your body. Don't think about the bills. Don't think about how the money will come. That is the job of the quantum field, not yours. Your job is to become the frequency. Remember a time in your life when you felt utterly peaceful. Perhaps it was sitting by the ocean. Perhaps it was holding a sleeping child. Go back to that memory and re-inhabit it. Feel the peace in your cells. Let it wash over you. Breathe it in. Let your entire body relax into this state of profound peace. You are now vibrating at the frequency of your desire fulfilled. You are tuned to the channel of peace. By holding this feeling, this vibration, without any attachment to the outcome, you are sending a clear, coherent signal into the quantum field. You are telling it, more of this, please. You are literally collapsing the wave of potential peace and abundance into your particle reality. Do this every day. Become so familiar with the feeling of your future self that it feels more real than your present circumstances. This is the essence of quantum creation. It's a complete reversal of the old model of reality. The old model says, when I see it, I'll believe it. The quantum model says, when I believe it, when I feel it, when I become it, I will see it. This is why healing the money guilt is so critical. The frequency of guilt is a low, dense vibration. It is fundamentally incompatible with the high, light frequency of joy, peace, and abundance. You cannot be tuned to both stations at once. By clearing the guilt, you are freeing up your bandwidth to tune into the higher frequencies where your desired reality lives. This concept can be a profound shift for many. It moves us from doing to being. So I have a question for you. and I'd love for you to share your answer in the comments below. What is the one core feeling that you believe abundance will bring you? Is it freedom, security, joy? By simply naming it, you take the first step toward embodying it. Share your word below, and let's see the beautiful spectrum of what we are all creating. This is the shift from a Newtonian mindset of cause and effect to a quantum mindset of causing an effect. You are not a victim of your reality. You are its primary creative force. Embrace this power, practice this tuning, and watch as the universe rearranges itself to match your new song. Chapter 9. The Conscious Steward. Redefining wealth as sacred energy. As we approach the culmination of our alchemical journey, we must address a crucial element that ensures our newfound abundance is both sustainable and soul-aligned. It is not enough to simply attract wealth. We must transform our relationship to it so that it serves our highest purpose rather than our lowest fears. The ninth alchemical shift is to move from the identity of a money acquirer to that of a conscious steward. This is the shift that truly resolves the conflict between spirituality and wealth. It redefines money not as a personal possession to be hoarded, but as a sacred energy to be managed with wisdom, integrity, and a commitment to the greater good. Much of our guilt around money stems from a distorted view of ownership. We see the money in our account as mine, and this sense of personal ownership can trigger our deepest fears of greed, selfishness, and corruption. The ego latches onto the money, identifying with it, creating a constant state of anxiety, fear of losing it, and a grasping desire for more of it. The conscious steward holds a different perspective. A steward understands that they do not truly own anything. They are simply temporary caretakers. The money that flows through their hands is not theirs. It is universal energy, the energy of the divine, of Source, that has been entrusted to their care for a time. This shift in perspective is liberating. When you see yourself as a steward, the pressure is off. Your self-worth is no longer tied to the number in your bank account, because you understand that you are not that number. You are the manager, the caretaker, the channel. Your worth comes from how wisely and lovingly you manage the resources you are given, whether they are great or small. This identity short-circuits the guilt mechanism entirely. How can it be greedy to want to be a better, more effective manager of universal energy? How can it be selfish to desire more resources so that you can circulate them in ways that heal, create, and uplift? The desire for wealth, when filtered through the lens of stewardship, is transformed from a grasping, selfish act into a noble and spiritual ambition. You want more so you can do more. You want more so you can give more. You want more so you can be a more powerful force for good in the world. Adopting the mindset of a conscious steward has practical, real-world implications for how you interact with money. It informs three key areas: how you receive it, how you manage it, and how you release it. Receiving as a steward. When you receive money, instead of the ego's response of "great, more for me," the steward's response is, "Thank you for this trust. Thank you for this resource. I will manage it wisely." This keeps you humble and grateful, and as we know, gratitude is the frequency of more. It signals to the universe that you are a responsible channel who can be trusted with a greater flow. Managing as a steward. A steward is diligent. They do not neglect the resources in their care. This means you embrace practical financial education. You learn about budgeting, investing, and debt management, not from a place of fear or greed, but from a place of profound responsibility. It is your sacred duty to learn how to make this energy grow, so that its positive impact can be amplified. You see your investment portfolio not just as a path to personal wealth, but as a way of funding the innovative and conscious companies that are building a better world. Budgeting is no longer a restrictive chore. It is a mindful plan for directing sacred energy toward your highest intentions. Releasing as a steward. This is perhaps the most important aspect. A steward understands that energy must flow. Hoarding energy creates stagnation and disease, both in the body and in the financial ecosystem. Therefore, a conscious steward is a conscious circulator of wealth. This includes your spending, your giving, and your investing. When you spend money, you do so with an awareness of where that energy is going. You choose to support businesses that align with your values. You see every purchase as a vote for the kind of world you want to live in. And of course, a steward is generous. They practice giving, not as a reluctant duty, but as a joyful act of participating in the universal flow. They know that giving creates a vacuum that the universe must fill. It is an act of supreme trust in the infinite supply of Source. It is the ultimate declaration that you believe in abundance, not lack. I remember a client, a very successful entrepreneur, who was deeply unhappy. He had all the money he could ever want, but he lived in constant fear of losing it. He was a hoarder, not a steward. The alchemical work for him was to create a generosity plan. We set up a systematic way for him to fund causes he was passionate about. At first, it was terrifying for him. Every dollar he gave away felt like a loss. But slowly something shifted. He started to see the incredible impact his stewarded resources were having. He felt a sense of purpose and joy that his hoarded wealth had never given him. And paradoxically, as he gave more away, more and more opportunities flowed to him. He had unclogged his own energetic channel. He had become a river, not a swamp. This is the shift that creates true, lasting, soul-satisfying wealth. It is the shift from what can I get to what can I contribute. It is the understanding that you are a partner with the divine, a trusted manager of its infinite abundance. When you fully embody the identity of the conscious steward, the conflict between your spirituality and your wealth dissolves completely. They become one and the same. Your financial success becomes a direct measure of your spiritual service to the world. Chapter 10. The Final Alchemy. Embodying Your Financial Worthiness. We have arrived at the final stage of our great work. We have journeyed through the depths of our psyche, unearthing old beliefs, and traveled to the quantum field of infinite possibility. We have performed rituals of release and built new identities of worth. Now we must integrate it all. The 10th and final alchemical shift is the most profound. It is the shift from doing to being. It is the final transmutation where you no longer need the rituals and the practices because you have become the thing itself. This is the shift into embodiment. It is when you stop seeking abundance and realize you are abundance. Embodiment is the state where your new beliefs about money, worth, and abundance are no longer conscious thoughts you have to practice. They are your subconscious, automatic default state of being. It is who you are at a cellular level. How do you know when you have reached this state? You will know by the silence. The inner chatter of guilt and fear around money simply goes quiet. It's not that you've suppressed it. It's that the energy that fueled it has been fully transmuted. You will know by your emotional response. When an unexpected expense arises, your first reaction is not panic, but a calm, centered knowing that this will be handled. The resources will appear. You trust the flow implicitly because you have experienced its support time and time again. You will know by your relationship to desire. You can walk through a store filled with luxury goods and feel no grasping need nor any resentful lack. You can appreciate the beauty and craftsmanship, knowing that you can have it if you choose, and that your worth is not diminished if you don't. Your sense of self is no longer attached to external things. You will know by your generosity. Giving is no longer a calculated act. It is a spontaneous and joyful impulse. You give freely from your time, your energy, and your resources because you are operating from an unshakable inner foundation of fullness. You know with every fiber of your being that the well is infinite. This state of embodiment is the true gold of the alchemist. It is a state of profound inner peace and quiet power. From this state, your actions in the world are effortlessly effective. The right people, opportunities, and resources are drawn to you not by your effort, but by your resonance. You have become a walking, talking vortex of prosperity, and your very presence elevates the world around you. This is not a hypothetical destination. It is a real, achievable state of consciousness. But it is not reached by thinking about it. It is reached by living the principles we have discussed day after day until they become second nature. It is reached by continuing to greet the messenger of guilt with compassion should it ever return. It is reached by standing before your mirror each day until you see not a stranger practicing lines, but the truth of your own magnificent, worthy soul reflected back at you. It is reached by continuing to bless every dollar that flows through your hands, embedding the energy of gratitude into the very fabric of your financial life. It is reached by trusting the whisper of inspired action over the roar of anxious hustle. It is reached by consistently tuning your being to the feeling state of your highest reality. It is reached by embracing your sacred role as a conscious steward of the energy that flows to you and through you. The path of the alchemist is a spiral, not a straight line. You will revisit these lessons at deeper and deeper levels as you grow and expand. There is no final graduation day where the work is done. The work is life itself. But there will come a day when you look back at the person you were when you began this journey, the person trapped in the painful paradox of spiritual desire and material guilt, and you will barely recognize them. You will see them with immense love and compassion, and you will honor the struggle that was the catalyst for your great transformation. You will understand that the conflict was never a curse. It was a sacred invitation, an invitation to do the deepest work a human can do, to heal the illusion of separation. The separation between spirit and matter, between worthiness and wealth, between who you are and who you came here to be. The final alchemy is the realization that you are not a human being seeking abundance. You are abundance itself, having a human experience. You are a unique expression of an infinitely prosperous universe. The lead was never lead. It was always gold, just waiting for you to recognize its true nature. Just waiting for you to come home to yourself. This is your truth. This is your birthright. Now go forth and live it. Outro, the journey continues. We have traveled far on this journey together. We have walked the 10 alchemical shifts, moving from the shadow of guilt to the light of embodiment. We have learned that the conflict between our spirit and our desire for wealth is an illusion, a relic of an old story that no longer serves us. The great work, as we've discovered, is not about acquiring something outside of ourselves. It is about dissolving the internal barriers that prevent us from receiving the abundance that is our natural state. It is a journey of remembering the profound, unshakable worth that has been yours all along. But this is not the end. It is the beginning. The knowledge you have gained here is a seed. For it to grow into the mighty tree of your prosperity, it must be watered with consistent practice and nurtured with conscious awareness. Take these principles and weave them into the tapestry of your life. Make them your own. The transformation is not in the listening. It is in the living. As our time together concludes, your journey continues. To support you on your path, I have curated a next step. On the left, you will find our foundational playlist, Start Here, The Foundations of Abundance, filled with audiobooks to deepen the principles we've explored today. And on the right, you will find a video the universe has selected specifically for your journey next. Trust the guidance. It will be the perfect continuation of the work you have begun here. And of course, if you have not already, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, to join our community of fellow alchemists.